Everyone's trying to use AI for marketing right now, but here's the problem. Most companies are using AI the wrong way. They're mostly trying to use AI for things like marketing copy and content generation, but the real transformation happens when you use AI for end-to-end systems that include customer insights, prediction, and execution. Hi, I'm Joshua Ebner. I'm a 20-year expert in AI, machine learning, and data science with experience at companies like Apple, HP, Ogilvy, and Bank of America. So in this video, I'm going to show you how a modern AI marketing stack actually works. You'll see how to connect the dots between data infrastructure, predictive systems, and intelligent automation, and how they can collectively drive revenue and ROI. So first, let me kind of frame this up a little bit. Right now, the average company's marketing AI setup looks something like this. You go to ChatGPT, you ask it some questions, you write some prompts to try and maybe generate some email copy, maybe some copy for updating your web page or a sales page. I know quite a few people that have used AI to try and update their website, update some images on the website, or maybe even write some HTML code to create a new website. All of that stuff is fine, but that's really kind of surface level productivity. And if you're thinking about using AI for marketing that way, you're probably missing out on 80 to 90% of the value that AI can bring to your marketing if you use it correctly. So let me walk you through a proper AI marketing stack that will enable you to use AI to maximum effect. So let's talk about the first layer, data. Great marketing involves prediction, personalization, optimization, and automation. And we're going to talk about those things in a minute, but all of those things require data. To make those other systems work, you need a strong data foundation because data is the raw material that AI learns from and acts on. So that means you're going to need to collect your data from various points of customer interaction. That includes things like analytics platforms, CRMs, product usage data, reviews, surveys, chat interactions, and so on. Collect everything that helps you understand what customers do, what they need, and what problems they're having. By the way, if you're serious about using AI in your business, you probably want to figure out if you're ready to start using AI. So find the link in the description below and go take my AI readiness assessment. It's about 16 questions. It'll take you only a few minutes. It's free. So find the link in the description below and evaluate how ready your business is to use AI effectively. The next layer is customer insights. To build successful marketing, you need to understand your customers, not just who they are, but also what motivates their behavior. So this layer in the AI marketing stack starts to turn your data into insights about your customers. Here, we're trying to use AI to uncover the patterns, preferences, and emotions behind customer actions. So the tools here include things like AI-driven data analytics. In the past, you needed to largely write the code by hand and analyze the data piece by piece. You'll still need someone that will be heavily involved in the data analysis process, but this can be dramatically sped up using AI coding copilots. So things like Cursor, you can even use ChatGPT to help you write some of the code to do this. You can use programming languages like Python or R, but you can use a coding copilot to help you or your team members out. Similarly, you can do text analytics. Here, we're using various forms of AI and AI-based analytical techniques to extract meaning from text data. Things like reviews, surveys, especially the open-ended questions of surveys, customer interactions, chat interactions, and so on. Now here, you might be able to use a large language model for this, but there are other types of AI that you can use, perhaps a BERT-based model, BERT, B-E-R-T. This is a kind of a sibling or a cousin to large language models. And there's a variety of classic natural language processing techniques that you can use. You can still, though, if you're doing classic natural language processing, you can use coding copilots to help you do that as well. Similar to text analytics, you can do sentiment analysis, trying to figure out the sort of sentiments, the emotions, the perceptions that people have based on some of the data you have. Again, this is going to be things like reviews, surveys, customer interactions, chat interactions, and so on. And again, even though you might be able to use large language models for this, You also need to consider other types of AI, like I suggested earlier, like BERT-based models and some others. Another type of AI that you can use for customer insights is segmentation. This is more of a classic technique. With segmentation, we're taking a very large group of customers and finding subgroups. And then you can analyze those subgroups to figure out how they're different, what their needs are, what their motivations are, their perceptions, the types of product features they want, the communication channels that they prefer. These sorts of insights can be very valuable for building a marketing strategy. So we very often see segmentation sort of at early phases when we're trying to build a marketing strategy, a go-to-market strategy, or a product strategy. Now, these types of customer insights techniques are very powerful. I should know I did a lot of customer insights when I worked at companies like Apple, Bank of America, and Ogilvy. If you use these techniques correctly, then your marketing campaigns will become sharper, more targeted, and more profitable. The next layer in the AI marketing stack is prediction. Here, we're trying to use AI techniques that leverage past data and past customer interactions in order to predict future customer behavior. So this layer in the AI marketing stack helps us understand customers even better and helps us make better predictions by answering questions like who's likely to churn? Why are they churning? Who's likely to upgrade maybe to a higher service level? Who's ready to buy? And so on. Now, for this type of AI, we're typically using what I call predictive AI, but a more technical term is supervised learning. Don't worry about the terminology too much, but I do want you to be familiar. Ultimately, this layer in the AI marketing stack helps you make much better decisions, faster and with more confidence, while also helping you allocate your resources. If you can figure out who's going to churn, you can develop retention strategies that will keep customers around for longer. If you can figure out who's most likely to upgrade to a new service level, you can proactively reach out to those individuals, sending them offers to upgrade. This ultimately enables you to find problems, fix problems before they happen, and proactively deliver more of what customers want in a way that generates more revenue and high return on investment. The last layer that I want to talk about is execution and automation. Now, you might have noticed up until now that we haven't talked a lot about large language models and agents. That's because all of the other things that we've talked about so far rely on other tools and techniques. But in this layer of the AI marketing stack, this is where LLMs and agents really begin to shine. So a few examples. You can use large language models to take all of the other insights that you might have accumulated about your customers, who your customers are, what they like, what they dislike, the sorts of behaviors they're engaging in, the problems they're having. You can use LLMs to summarize a lot of that information and draft reports for members of your team to consume so they can understand how to improve the marketing. You can also use large language models to draft much more targeted content and copy. So once again, after you understand who your customers are, what their needs are, what their perceptions are, maybe you might have some segments where you've understood this segment versus that segment and how they're different, what individual segments want and need. You can use all of that information, put it into an LLM, and that LLM can help you draft much more targeted and customized content for your customers, for your segments. This will refine and sharpen your messaging even more. Furthermore, you can use automations and AI agents to automate customized workflows in your marketing systems. So for example, if you figure out a customer is likely to churn based on the predictive model or predictive systems that you might have built that we talked about in previous layers of your marketing stack, you can use those churn predictions and feed those into an automation or an AI agent such that the AI can trigger personalized campaigns, generate some copy on the fly that's much more personalized for an individual or a group of customers, watch the responses, and maybe alert members of your team if the agent needs more help, a sort of human in the loop system. So you can use automations and AI agents to leverage a lot of the information that you might have gained in some of the earlier layers, your data, your customer insights, your predictive models. Leverage all of that information and then automate parts of your marketing systems. It's important to emphasize, though, that this layer of your marketing stack should build on the previous ones. So it requires good data, it requires good customer insights, it requires good predictive systems, because good data, customer insights, and Predictions are what make these automations ultimately so powerful. When these layers work together, data, customer insights, prediction, and automation, your marketing becomes intelligent, adaptive, and exponentially more effective. That means stronger customer relationships, higher retention, and faster revenue growth. But AI isn't just about driving growth, it also has costs. Some of those costs are obvious, but others are sort of hidden and unexpected. So if you want to understand the real cost of building AI systems, check out this video here, The Real Cost of Building AI Systems.